Everyone talks about retirement like it's some golden hour commercial, rocking chairs, sunset porches, a golden retriever named Buddy. What they don't show you is the math. The quiet panic when you realize Social Security isn't a lifestyle. It's more like a very polite suggestion. And yet, somehow, people are still out here retiring comfortably. Calm, unbothered, buying groceries without doing Olympic-level mental subtraction. So what do they know that you don't? Simple. They skipped the obvious places. They didn't retire to Florida beachfront condos or Arizona suburbs designed exclusively for golf carts and regret. They found hidden American towns, the kind nobody flexes on Instagram, the kind Zillow doesn't scream about, the kind where your Social Security check doesn't immediately burst into flames. These places exist in the cracks of America. Towns with character, with quirks, with a Walmart that still feels like a community center. Towns where housing is affordable not because they're cursed, but because no one bothered to hype them up. Today, we're counting down 7 hidden American towns where Social Security actually works. Places where your fixed income stretches, your stress drops, and the loudest noise is probably a pickup truck with opinions. We'll talk real prices, real trade-offs, real vibes. No fantasy retirement nonsense, just the truth, lightly roasted. So hit like, subscribe, and emotionally prepare yourself, because some of these towns are cheap for reasons. Let's start with one that feels like America accidentally left the door open. Town 1, Alma, Michigan. Let's start with a sentence Zillow hates. You can still buy a house here for under $150,000. And no, it's not haunted. Welcome to Alma, Michigan, a town of about 9,000 people sitting comfortably in the middle of the state like it's trying not to draw attention to itself. Flat land, quiet streets, and an overall energy that says, "We're fine. Please don't move here all at once." Alma exists in that sweet Midwest pocket where life slows down just enough for Social Security to keep up. The economy revolves around education, light manufacturing, healthcare, and people who have worked the same job long enough to know exactly where the coffee pot is at all times. No tech bros, no influencers. Just vibes and stability. So why is it cheap? Because it's not flashy. Winters here don't arrive. They declare war. Snow shows up like it has personal beef with your driveway. The wind doesn't ask permission. It just moves through you. And yes, you will own a coat that looks like it was designed by NASA. But here's the twist. The cost of living is low enough that the weather becomes tolerable. Kind of charming, even. Heating bills are manageable. Groceries don't feel like a luxury purchase. Property taxes won't emotionally attack you in April. Daily life in Alma is simple, almost aggressively so. You've got local diners where the waitress remembers your order and judges your life choices gently. You've got parks that are quiet in a way cities forgot how to be. Shopping is functional, not aspirational. No one's trying to sell you a $14 candle with a backstory. And healthcare? Solid. You're close enough to larger Michigan cities to access good medical services without paying urban survival fees. Alma isn't trying to impress you. And that's exactly why it works. It's affordable because it stayed honest. And for retirement, that honesty is priceless. Town 2, Paris, Texas. Before you ask, no, not that Paris. This one has a cowboy hat on the Eiffel Tower and zero interest in pretending otherwise. Paris, Texas, sits in the northeast corner of the state with about 25,000 people, and a personality that feels like Texas took a deep breath and relaxed. It's big enough to have real infrastructure, small enough that no one's fighting you for parking like it's a competitive sport. Let's get the obvious part out of the way. Yes, Social Security actually works here. Median home prices hover around the low to mid-100,000s. Rents don't require a cosigner and a prayer. And everyday expenses feel like they're from a different decade. The kind where your grocery bill doesn't end with you staring into space, questioning capitalism. So why is it affordable? Because Paris lives in the shadow of bigger Texas cities. Dallas gets the headlines, Austin gets the hype, Houston gets everything else. Paris just quietly exists, doing its thing, unbothered. No major tourism boom, no tech invasion, no influencers calling it underrated yet, which is honestly the dream. Economically, it's steady, not sexy. Healthcare, manufacturing, retail, and education keep the town moving. Jobs exist, but no one's pretending this is a hustle culture hotspot. The pace is slower, and retirement fits into it naturally, like sweatpants after Thanksgiving. Now let's talk about the living reality. Summers here are hot, not warm, not toasty. Hot like the sun has a personal vendetta and refuses to apologize. You will plan your errands around air conditioning. On the flip side, winters are mild, which means no shoveling snow while questioning your life choices at 7 a.m. Paris has real amenities, hospitals, big box stores, local restaurants, and parks that actually get used. You can get everything you need without driving an hour, which matters more as time goes on. The town has charm too. Historic downtown, community events, Friday nights that feel oddly comforting, and neighbors who wave because that's just what people do here. It's not flashy, but it's grounded. Paris, Texas is affordable because it chose stability over spectacle. And for retirees living on Social Security, that choice makes all the difference. Town 3. Pueblo, Colorado. Pueblo is what happens when a town minds its business for so long that it accidentally becomes affordable. Sitting in southern Colorado with a population just over 110,000, Pueblo doesn't look like the Colorado you see on postcards. No ski lift glamour. No $14 oat milk lattes. Just wide skies, brick buildings, and a vibe that says, "We've been here. We're staying." Now here's the part that makes Zillow nervous. Home prices in Pueblo are dramatically lower than the rest of Colorado. While Denver and Boulder went fully unhinged, Pueblo stayed grounded. You can still find homes in the $150,000 to $200,000 range, which means Social Security doesn't immediately tap out and ask for emotional support. So why is it cheap? Because Pueblo zigged when the rest of Colorado zagged. It used to be a steel town. When that industry faded, the hype left with it. What remained was a working-class city with strong bones, solid infrastructure, and zero interest in pretending to be trendy. No influencer rebrand. No next Aspen nonsense. Economically, Pueblo runs on healthcare, education, government jobs, and light industry. Not glamorous, but stable. And stability is retirement gold. Living here feels surprisingly balanced. You get 4 seasons without the Colorado ego. Summers are warm but dry, your sweat evaporates before it ruins your day. Winters exist, but they're not out here traumatizing people. Snow shows up, looks around, and leaves. Pueblo has real character, historic neighborhoods, locally owned restaurants that take pride in doing one thing really well, a strong Hispanic and working-class culture that shows up in the food, the festivals, and the way people look out for each other. Healthcare access is solid, which matters more than mountain views once reality kicks in. Shopping is practical, not performative. You can live your life without constantly driving to the good part of town. Is Pueblo perfect? No. Some areas feel rough around the edges. Downtown isn't trying to be a lifestyle brand. And yes, you'll hear opinions, loud ones. But here's the charm. Pueblo is honest, affordable because it didn't chase hype, comfortable because it didn't forget its people. For retirees living on Social Security, that honesty isn't a downside. It's the entire appeal. Town 4. Florence, Alabama. Florence is the kind of town that sneaks up on you. You expect nothing. And then suddenly you're like, wait, why is this actually nice? Located in northwest Alabama along the Tennessee River, Florence has around 40,000 people and a cost of living that feels like it missed the last few decades, in a good way. This is one of those rare southern towns where Social Security doesn't just survive, it breathes. Let's talk numbers. Home prices here are still comfortably in the low to mid-100,000s. Rent doesn't require a financial intervention. Utilities are reasonable. Groceries don't feel like a luxury item. The math actually works, which is refreshing in a world where most retirement plans quietly assume you're also independently wealthy. So, why is Florence so affordable? Because it's not trying to be flashy. It's a college town, but a calm one. The University of North Alabama adds culture, healthcare access, and stability without turning the place into a chaotic rental war zone. There's no tech gold rush, no tourism explosion, no speculative frenzy, just steady life. Florence also gets overlooked because it sits off the main radar. It's not Nashville, it's not Birmingham, it's not even pretending to compete. And that's exactly why prices stayed sane. Daily life here is gentle. Summers are hot, this is Alabama, not a fairy tale, but the river helps, and air conditioning is treated like a constitutional right. Winters are mild, meaning no snow shovels, no icy driveways, no emotional damage. The town itself has personality. A walkable downtown with music history woven into it. Local shops. Cafes where people talk to each other instead of staring into phones like it's a hostage situation. Community events that feel genuine, not forced. Healthcare is a major plus. Regional medical centers and nearby specialists mean retirees aren't sacrificing care to save money. That's a big deal. Now, the trade-offs. Public transportation is limited. You'll want a car. The pace is slow, very slow, if you're used to constant stimulation. And yes, everyone will ask where you go to church, even if the answer is the couch. But Florence is affordable because it stayed human. It offers warmth, stability, and a sense of place, without asking Social Security to perform miracles. And honestly, that's a pretty good deal. Town 5 Dubuque, Iowa. Dubuque is proof that the Midwest quietly solved retirement while everyone else was arguing on Twitter. Sitting along the Mississippi River in eastern Iowa, Dubuque has about 60,000 people and a cost of living that feels suspiciously reasonable. The kind of place where your Social Security check doesn't arrive already stressed out. Let's talk housing, because that's where the magic happens. Home prices here are still very much grounded in reality, often in the $140,000 to $190,000 range. Rent doesn't feel like a punishment. Property taxes are manageable. Utilities won't ambush you. The numbers line up in a way that makes retirement feel possible. So why is it cheap? Because Dubuque refuses to chase hype. It's an old river town with deep industrial roots. Manufacturing, logistics, healthcare, and education keep the lights on. When other places tried to reinvent themselves into destinations, Dubuque stayed practical. That decision scared away speculators and quietly protected affordability. Living here feels steady, grounded, calm without being boring. Summers are warm but not punishing. Winters exist, yes, but not in a cancel your will kind of way. Snow happens, people deal with it, life moves on. The town is built for it. What surprises people is how nice Dubuque actually is. Historic neighborhoods, brick buildings, hills with river views that feel expensive but aren't, parks that get used, trails that don't feel like a marketing stunt. It's scenic without screaming about it. Healthcare access is strong for a town this size, which matters more than aesthetics once retirement gets real. Shopping is practical, everything you need is there, nothing you don't. You won't find luxury boutiques, but you also won't find regret. The culture leans friendly, Midwestern, and unpretentious. People wave. Conversations happen. There's a sense that time isn't constantly chasing you, which is exactly what retirement is supposed to feel like. Now, the trade-offs? Nightlife is limited. The pace is slow. And if you crave chaos, Dubuque will feel like a hard reset on your nervous system. But that's the point. Dubuque is affordable because it values stability over spectacle. And for retirees living on Social Security, that stability is worth more than hype ever was. Town 6, Beckley, West Virginia. Beckley is the kind of town people only remember exists when they accidentally drive through it, and that neglect is exactly why it's affordable. Tucked into the hills of southern West Virginia, Beckley has about 16,000 residents and a cost of living that feels almost suspicious in 2025. This is one of those places where Social Security doesn't just cover the basics, it actually leaves room to breathe. Let's get straight to the shock factor. Homes here regularly sell in the $110,000 to $160,000 range, sometimes less. And no, these aren't abandoned coal shacks from a horror movie. These are real houses, with yards, porches, and neighbors who will absolutely talk to you while you're checking the mail. So why is Beckley so cheap? Because the coal economy faded and the hype vanished with it. When the jobs left, outside interest packed up and moved on. What remained was a town with infrastructure built for more people than it currently has, which keeps prices low and expectations realistic. Economically, Beckley now runs on healthcare, education, government services, and logistics. It's not booming, but it's stable. And stability is what retirees actually need, even if no one makes a TikTok about it. Living here feels quiet, intentionally so. The Appalachian landscape surrounds you with rolling hills, trees that look like they're minding ancient secrets, and air that actually smells like air. Summers are warm but rarely brutal. Winters bring snow, but it's manageable. Not Midwest punishment, not mountain chaos. Healthcare access is better than people expect. Beckley serves as a regional medical hub, meaning specialists and hospitals are nearby, not hours away. That's a major win for retirees who don't want to gamble on access. Daily life is simple. Grocery stores are normal. Traffic is a suggestion. Shopping options exist, but no one's pretending this is a retail paradise. Entertainment is low-key, community events, local diners, quiet evenings. Your nervous system will calm down whether it wants to or not. Now, the trade-offs. Job opportunities are limited. The town carries economic scars. And yes, some areas feel stuck in time, not always in a charming way. But Beckley isn't pretending to be anything it's not. It's affordable because it stayed real. And for retirees living on Social Security, that honesty can feel like freedom. Town 7, Enid, Oklahoma. Enid is what happens when a town quietly becomes retirement-friendly while no one is watching. Located in north-central Oklahoma, Enid has around 50,000 people and a cost of living that feels like it slipped through a time portal from 2003. This is one of those places where Social Security doesn't just survive. It stretches, relaxes, and maybe even gets dessert. Let's talk housing, because Enid is almost rude about it. Homes routinely fall in the $130,000 to $180,000 range, sometimes less if you're not picky about cosmetic upgrades. Rent stays reasonable. Property taxes don't jump out of the bushes. The numbers are calm, almost suspiciously calm. So why is it this affordable? Because Enid exists in the space between useful and ignored. It's a regional hub. Healthcare, agriculture, manufacturing, and a nearby Air Force base keep the economy stable, but it's not trendy. There's no rush of outsiders trying to discover it. No lifestyle rebrand. No sudden glow-up that doubles prices overnight. Living here feels steady and grounded. Summers are hot. This is Oklahoma, not a climate spa, but manageable. Winters are mild. Snow is rare. Ice storms happen occasionally and turn everyone into a meteorologist for 48 hours. Then life goes on. Healthcare is a real strength. Enid punches above its weight with hospitals, clinics, and specialists, which matters a lot once retirement stops being theoretical. You're not sacrificing care for affordability here. Daily life is practical in the best way. Traffic barely exists, errands are quick, grocery stores are plentiful, restaurants won't change your life, but they'll feed you well and consistently. The pace is slow enough that days stop blurring together. The culture leans friendly, straightforward, and unapologetically normal. People talk, neighbors notice things. Community still feels like a real concept, not a branding exercise. Now for the trade-offs. Nightlife is limited, cultural options are modest, and if you thrive on chaos, Enid will feel like a hard reset on your adrenaline system. But Enid is affordable because it stayed functional instead of flashy. And for retirees living on Social Security, that functionality is exactly the point. Here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. Retirement in America isn't broken, it's just misadvertised. You were sold a fantasy that only works if you're sitting on a pension, a paid-off house, and a suspiciously successful stock portfolio. But for most people living on Social Security, the real win isn't luxury, it's relief. These towns don't promise perfection, they promise function. Lower costs, slower mornings, grocery bills that don't feel like a personal attack. Places where your income doesn't disappear the second it arrives, and your stress levels finally stop living on high alert. $2. Are these towns glamorous? No. Are they trendy? Absolutely not. Do they work? Quietly. Consistently. Honestly, that's the trade-off. And for a lot of retirees, it's a good one. Because once the noise dies down, once the hype fades, once you stop chasing the idea of what retirement is supposed to look like, something interesting happens.